Hey class, let's talk about the Curation Project. If you click this folder, this video that you're watching will be in that folder, uh, recommended from that second module. Let's talk about a few things. When we go to the assignment sheet, it's going to explain the assignment. Keep in mind this project is a large project that we do the final day of class, and it's worth 100 points. It's a very large project with some expectations. And if you follow directions, it's pretty simple to do well, I think. Okay, so for your final project, you're going to be curating a hypothetical exhibition based around your artistic interests. This is going to have some connecting fiber or reason that you're showing them all together, not just I like them all. Um, Now, throughout the semester, in our reading and our lectures, we're going to be talking about many different art movements and types of art. This could be similar mediums, similar narratives, formal qualities. You could find a time period or a movement in art history that you're more interested in, size, color, shape, etc. For the project, you will need to title your show and have at least 15 pieces of art. The art information that will be included will be the title, artist, medium, size, and year for each piece. That sounds like a lot of information. I'm going to give you a resource that makes this very easy. You will also have to come up with a specific location and draw a basic blueprint for the show. Now, many students just do a rectangle here and kind of plan out the show very basically, but kind of the sky is the limit on this. I've had shows that are massive. I've had shows that are sort of micro shows. I've had ones that kind of wind through hallways, but I'll show you an example of that. But that will be sort of your own creativity is the limits there. This can be hand-drawn or digitally created. Once again, I'll show you some examples there. The final presentation will be either on PowerPoint, you can save as a PDF, or in Google Docs. Will be required to receive credit. The only reason you need to save as PDF for that PowerPoint is just sometimes there's a mismatch on the PowerPoint year. I guess what version PowerPoint you have, right? So if you export as PDF, it's easier for me to read. Just helps that. Okay. The first sort of 4 slides, I sort of give you an introduction, and then here's some questions, talking points where it may help you choose the art that you want for your show. I think actually the easiest way to go about this is just to look at the example. So slide 1, we have the title of the show. We have what the show is, and then it's curated by redacted student name there. That second slide is an introduction of the show. The show is Moments in Light, and this is what the show is. It's an impressionism show, talking about late 19th century, et cetera, et cetera. Together, they chose to do 16 works. 15 is the minimum. You can always do more within that space. Then the third slide is going to be your gallery layout. Now, this is a very basic gallery layout, just sketched on a piece of sketchbook. But it does still give me all the information that I'm looking for. You walk in, here's an entrance, and they are numbered. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 16, right? And we're starting at one piece, right? Here's 1. Now, number 1, we talk about the piece. Here is the piece with all of the required information. And then we keep moving. We talk about the second piece. Second piece with all the information. We keep moving. Keep in mind, as we're talking about these works, we are talking about the physical aspects of the works. Remember that the critiquing of these works is kind of the most important thing, and talking intellectually about these pieces, but how they also correlate with each other, and how maybe one painting can shift focus as you keep moving, or can sort of attract or deter from other pieces within the room. Because we should still be kind of in that gallery layout. So the format should be explanation, and then the piece with all the information. And then an explanation, and then a piece with all the information. Explanation, piece with all the information. You'll notice that every few pieces, we do go back to the gallery layout, just to remind the viewer where we're at, right? We started with 1, we did 5 pieces first, all along that long wall. Now we're going into that backspace. We're going to do 6, right? Information of the painting right after the explanation. Painting, and you can kind of go back and forth as long as it makes sense. Like here, we have two pieces that kind of go side by side and they make more sense to show right after each other, and then they put the explanation after. That's fine too. I don't really care if you're doing explanation, image, image, explanation, back and forth, as long as it's easy enough to understand this is that, etc. Gallery layout again, right? We move again. Then the final corner, we're talking again. Explanation, image, explanation, right? We're talking about each individual piece, and we are critiquing that work through the explanation in that work, but we're also thinking about it as a grouping and as a whole throughout the entire show as they would sit together. I could have probably seen one more gallery layout there at the end. But once again, you don't want to reference your gallery layout every image, but every 3 to 5 would be good to kind of just make sure we're still in the space and it makes sense of what's going on. Right. So how you're going to do this is you're going to go and use Google Arts and Culture. This is a great resource. You don't have to use this, but I think it'd be a great place to start or reference, even if you don't necessarily kind of know what direction you're going. There are so many options here. As I scroll through, say I'm interested in the Baroque period, really dramatic imagery with dark value, and really a bold things happening within those images. Say something like this really attracts me because it's a wild image by Caravaggio of Medusa, obviously getting her head chopped off. I like it a lot, so I'm going to use it, right? So I'm going to scroll down, and all the information that I need should be on this page, right? Now, when I go back and I look at the assignment sheet one more time, with the 15 pieces of art, I need a title, an artist, a medium, a size, and a year. 5 things. Title, artist, medium, year, and then size. So there's some things will not necessarily have size. They should mostly all have these things. But we could do a little precursor research and continue to look into finding the size of this image, because it is important to get all that information. It is somewhat of a different. This one doesn't have size either. Well, that's weird. Oh, here's physical dimensions, which is in millimeters. A little bit weird. But yeah, there should be physical dimensions on most of these things. Supposedly not all. When I did this last time, they were on each one of them. But they are going to be kind of sparing. So you may have to do a little bit more research if you find a piece that you like and not all the information is on Google Arts and Culture. But 90%, if not 99% of the information you're looking for will be on Google Arts and Culture. And once again, we can dip back. We don't have to stay in the Baroque period. We could move into minimalism, pull up some cool minimalist art, some cubes in the middle, and then there will be measurements. Some of the art historical stuff, surprisingly, may not have it. But yeah, remember, it's your art show. You can do kind of whatever you want as long as there's 15 pieces, a connecting fiber, and each piece has been described as an individual piece, but also why you put them in certain places in the room makes the reading of the show so much more interesting. And then you'll see that each slide that I'm describing work should be 5 to 8 sentences, right? For critical analysis of each piece, 5 to 8 sentences, and an introduction of your show should be 5 to 8 sentences as well. These are minimum requirements for the writing of the papers. Remember, if you have more information that you want to add to those sentences, that's fine. You can make compound sentences or a little bit more complex sentences. But this is an absolute minimum, looking for 5 to 8 sentences of explanation per piece, as well as the show itself. It's a big project. You have the entire semester to work on it. Do not wait till the end to get into this project and start to think about it. Remember, if you do a little bit of work here and there, pick 2 or 3 pieces as you dive into Google Arts and Culture. Maybe think about how they connect to each other. Um, Many people do choose to just do an art movement, whether they do impressionism or um, whatever, minimalism, pop art, some art movement from art history. But I challenge you to try and create a different or more complex grouping rather than just a movement. But it's a good place to start. Okay. Keep in mind it is due the last day of class. It is worth 100 points. Um, and you should start working on it as soon as possible so you're not waiting in the end, freaking out that you have a lot of work to do before the due date. Okay. Looking forward to seeing these projects. Good luck on the curation project.